Alright, let's get straight to it. There's been a lot of talk around Nikon's next release, the ZFR. If you're familiar with the ZF, you know how Nikon blends that vintage aesthetic with modern tech to create something eye-catching. But what's next? This rumored camera could be the next step in Nikon's retro-inspired ZF series, stirring up plenty of curiosity. We've heard rumors, 60-megapixel sensor, retro design, and higher-end features. But are they true? Can this camera really compete with others? Models like the Sony A7R5 and Canon R5 are already making waves. So, where does the ZFR fit into all of this? This is where it gets interesting. Let's break it all down. Before jumping into what the ZFR might offer, let's revisit its predecessor, the ZF. It was Nikon's tribute to classic film cameras with the power of a mirrorless system. Popular among photographers who loved that nostalgic feel in a digital body, the ZF had its flaws. One issue was grip. While sleek, it wasn't easy to hold, especially during long shoots. Many users turned to third-party grips for a better experience. Also, the ZF's speed, capped at 10 frames per second, didn't win over action photographers. With ZFR, Nikon could address these issues. A stronger grip and a bump in speed could make it more versatile while keeping that retro charm. But will Nikon do it? That's the big question. So, what can we expect from the Nikon ZFR? The biggest rumor is a 60-megapixel sensor. This would be a big step up from the ZF, putting it in the same league as heavy hitters like the Sony A7R5, which also comes with a 60-megapixel sensor. Canon's EOS R5, while slightly lower in resolution at 45 megapixels, also enters the conversation because of its overall performance. But high-resolution sensors aren't exactly new. Sony had it with the A7R4 and now the A7R5. Sigma's FPL uses it too. The question is, what can Nikon do differently? There's talk about improved dynamic range and better color depth, with some even suggesting Nikon could push for 16-bit RAW recording. Here's the thing. 16-bit color depth is usually reserved for medium format cameras like the Fujifilm GFX100 and Hasselblad X2D100C. If Nikon pulls this off with a full-frame sensor, it would be huge. But, realistically, it's more likely the ZFR will stick to the standard 10 to 14-bit range, which is still excellent for most photographers. In terms of burst speed, it's safe to assume the ZFR won't be a speed demon. We are hoping for 10 frames per second, since that aligns with Nikon's goal of appealing to high-resolution still photographers, and not sports or action shooters. If you're after speed, Nikon's Z8 and Z9 are better options. But if you're a landscape or portrait photographer who values detail over rapid shots, the ZFR's 10 FPS should be more than enough. Speaking of video, there's been a lot of speculation around whether the ZFR will come with 8K recording. With high-end mirrorless cameras like the Z8 and Z9 offering 8K, it wouldn't be surprising to see it here as well. But 8K isn't for everyone. It requires massive storage and may be overkill if your final output is only 4K or 1080p. Plus, heat management could be an issue for a compact body like the ZFRs, though having 8K as an option would still be a smart move. It opens up more creative possibilities for hybrid shooters who want the flexibility to crop in without losing quality, or for those producing high-end video content. And if Nikon handles the heat, it could make this camera even better. On the design side of things, ZFR is expected to keep that retro aesthetic that made the ZF so popular, but with some much needed improvements. Most obvious, a better grip. As we mentioned earlier, the ZF's slim body looked great, but wasn't the easiest to hold, especially during long shoots. If Nikon can tweak the ergonomics while keeping that vintage charm, they'll have a winner. ZF's physical dials were a hit with photographers who love that tactile, old-school experience. There's a good chance the ZFR will keep this feature, allowing users to adjust settings like ISO, shutter speed, and exposure compensation directly with dials. It's small touches like these that make the ZF series stand out from the crowd, so expect Nikon to double down on this with the ZFR. With these specs, the ZFR would go head-to-head with the Sony a7R V, Canon EOS R5, and Panasonic's Lumix S1R. The a7R V offers the same 60-megapixel sensor and a top-tier autofocus system. Canon's R5 excels with autofocus and 8K video. The S1R, with 47 megapixels, offers excellent image quality, but isn't as versatile for video. Where does the ZFR fit? If it keeps the retro design and 60-megapixel sensor, it could appeal to photographers who value both aesthetics and resolution. But if Nikon focuses on video performance with 8K, it could attract hybrid shooters. That's something to watch, especially with 8K becoming standard in high-end cameras. But again, Nikon needs to address a few things to stand toe-to-toe with these competitors. Autofocus is crucial here. Sony and Canon have made huge strides in AI-driven autofocus, while Nikon has lagged. If Nikon nails autofocus, the ZFR could become a strong contender. Now, you might be wondering, where does the ZFR fit in Nikon's current lineup? It's clear the ZFR isn't meant to replace any of Nikon's high-speed cameras like the Z8 or Z9. Those models are built for action and sports shooters. The ZFR, on the other hand, is likely aimed at enthusiasts and pros who value image quality and design over speed. With that in mind, we can expect the ZFR to appeal to portrait photographers, landscape shooters, and those of us who simply love the feel of a retro camera. It's not for those chasing the fastest frame rates, but for those who want that perfect shot with maximum detail. While the ZFR is exciting, a few things could hold it back from being the perfect camera. First, ergonomics. The ZF's design was beautiful, but it wasn't the most comfortable to hold for long periods. If Nikon doesn't improve the grip, we might be back to relying on third-party solutions. Then, there's the price. A 60-megapixel full-frame retro-inspired camera probably won't be budget-friendly. It may appeal to a niche audience, while those seeking pure performance might lean toward more affordable options like the Sony a7R IV or Nikon's Z7 series. So, when is this camera actually going to drop? Rumors suggest we could be looking at a late 2026 or early 2027 release date. That might seem like a long way off, but Nikon has been known to take their time with development, especially for cameras that aim to shake things up. The long wait also indicates that Nikon is still in the testing phase. They're likely fine-tuning the specs, working through alpha and beta models, and making sure everything runs smoothly before it hits the shelves. So, while we'll have to be patient, it's reassuring to know Nikon isn't rushing things. So, where does that leave us with the Nikon ZFR? Honestly, it's still a bit of a puzzle. We're piecing together clues from leaks and rumors, but it's clear Nikon's aiming for something specific. They're not trying to win any races with blazing fast frame rates, and they're not throwing in some wild experimental tech just for the sake of it. Instead, they're playing to the photographers who really care about the fundamentals, the quality of the image, the feel of the camera in your hand, and how easy it is to use. Think about it. If Nikon delivers the 60 megapixel sensor we've heard about and then puts it in a retro body that's comfortable to hold for hours, they're onto something. And if they throw in solid video capabilities, that's just icing on the cake. This camera isn't going to be for everyone, and it's not trying to be. It's carving out its own niche, appealing to those who appreciate a blend of classic aesthetics and modern performance. It might not be the camera for sports photographers or anyone needing super fast burst shooting. But for those who value detail, who want a camera that feels good to use, and who love that vintage vibe, the ZFR is shaping up to be a real contender. It's a camera that's about capturing moments beautifully, not just quickly. And honestly, in a world where everyone's chasing the latest tech, that's kind of refreshing. So yeah, keep your eyes on the ZFR. It might just surprise you. So that's the Nikon ZFR. Will it live up to the hype? Comment below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more camera leaks and reviews.